last worked together in 2014.
So long ago. I've seen you many times since then, though.
That's right. I think the last time was at Laurel Hardware for lunch.
Yeah. For gay pride, yeah.
Right, for gay pride.
Danny DeVito was on that.
Oh. Whoa. Yeah. That was, yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then you started modeling around 2013. Mm-hmm. Now you're a successful DJ. How are things? And are you still working in adult?
I'm not working in adults anymore. I mean, I guess take nude pictures of myself, but I don't know if that's considered adult. But DJ's been going good. I mean, obviously after the pandemic, there was a whole year where there was nothing happening. So it's definitely been an adjustment this year, but it's been good. It was way better than I expected. I thought when I came back after the lockdown that I was gonna have no work, but we've been building back up. I guess I thought I had this really clear plan going into adult, and compared to a lot of people, I did, but because it's such this unknown variable, right? Like the adult industry, you can read interviews with people, you can educate yourself on the industry, but at the end of the day, it's just this very, almost like a secret society, right? Like it's very closed off, kind of separate from the rest of the world, and most people, even fans, don't fully understand how the industry works. So I guess I would have made a little bit of a better plan, but I don't even know if that's possible because this stuff was just you don't know it until you're in it, right? And then, I would say my other biggest regret, I probably took about 4 months off, for a guy, as everyone has done in the industry. And that was, and I always said I would never be that girl. But, you do it eventually. I mean, I didn't quit or announce I was retiring, I just took a little hiatus, but it didn't really affect me too much. But I more regret it on a personal sense that after saying I would never let someone dictate that to me, that I did, and I think that's an easy and common mistake to make, but I wish I had been better and stronger and, more sure of myself than I was back then. Yes and no, in the sense that it just really depends, right? You have some days that it's purely work. It's not enjoyable. It doesn't feel good. Sometimes it's not even fun. The other times it's really fun, but you're not really enjoying it in the way that you would regular sex. But then you occasionally do have those really good days where it's this was really hot, normal sex that we happened to have on camera. So, I think that it's just really all over the place in regards to that. People always ask, do you fake orgasms? Are they real? I'm that is just a wide variety of answers to give, Yes, porn definitely detracted from my regular sex life. It probably depends on how much you're shooting, but I was shooting almost every day, maybe at least 5 days a week, and so the 2 days you have off, you want to rest, and you got to go get your nails done and do all the things that you have to do to be on camera. So I really had zero interest. I even dated a guy for a short instance that was in the industry, and it was obviously we had good sex, but there was a lot of times it's he was working sometimes 2-3 scenes a day, so it's just I didn't have any interest. He's I'm done. There's a lot of just hanging out. And so I think in some ways it detracted, you don't having really a personal sex life when you're working nonstop like that. But at the same time, when you do then get that real sex again, it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of a blessing, right? Something you took for granted now is something special again.
Were you able to, I guess, do things that you wouldn't seek out on your own, but maybe you kind of enjoyed having the experience because of the, theme of the shoot or the fetish or whatever it may be?
Oh yeah, definitely. I feel that's one reason I wanted to do porn in the first place, was that I kind of wanted to try all this different stuff, but maybe I didn't know if I was into it. You don't really know. I was very timid and trying a lot of things, but I was I want to experience everything. I'm an experience seeker. So that was a big thing that got me into it. But I remember one of my, this was I'd been in the business for a minute, but it was kind of before everything really took off. Like I'd been working nonstop, but a lot of stuff hadn't been released. And I'd taken 3 weeks off to go for Christmas to Australia. And that was the longest time I'd have work in like a year and a half. So you're working every day, that's your life. And then I had this like a month or so away. I came back and my first scene, like one of the first scenes, like you're gonna be a dominatrix. So up until that point, every kink thing I had done had been like me being the bottom, me being the sub. That's very natural to me. And they wanted me to dom this girl and her to be like my like sex slave or whatever. And I was like, I can't, oh my God, like I haven't even like shot porn in a month. Like I can't, and I have never done this. Like I can't do it. Like I was having a panic attack. It's like, well, you gotta do it. like, cause she's obviously the sub. It was with Maddie O'Reilly. And you know, Maddie's so into it that she loves being a sub. And it was super, it was a great experience. And once I kind of like I was like, all right, this is what I gotta do. I gotta be the dominatrix. It was so fun and I enjoyed myself a lot. It's not necessarily something that I'm into. Do I want to dominate other people? You know, not so much, but had a huge blast that day. So much fun. I mean, people definitely treat you differently, or me, but people in general. I would say the good thing about like DJing is that the electronic industry, the music industry in general, but specifically electronic music, is a lot of those people are friends with, you know, sex workers and people in the industry. It's a little bit more accepted, but it's definitely something that like, you know, once someone gets to know me and if they're an open-minded person, it doesn't cause too many problems, but it's not something I like necessarily volunteer to a stranger because it is going to absolutely impact the way that they treat you and think of you, whether they want it to or not. They might think that they are progressive and that they are open-minded and they're cool with it, but they aren't necessarily.
And how did you kind of make that transition into electronic music?
Well, I'd been DJing since college, actually, before I ever watched a porn. I had learned to DJ. I just got really into electronic music in college and loved music, and just kind of like, I had a neighbor that taught me how to DJ, so it kind of went from there. And then when I did porn, I kind of took a whole like step back from all of that to do that. And then it was just kind of like a natural progression, because once I had like, you know, a name and like a brand and followers or whatever, like people like, oh, okay, like, yeah, we'll like let you try it out, see how you do.
When was that moment when you went, whoa? Because I've never seen you do it live, but I've seen many photos, and it looks like you own that shit, you're killing it, and there's a lot of people that are clearly enjoying it. So when did you feel like you kind of were? You're like, I made it. I'm doing it. I'm doing what I want. People are digging it.
Man, when was that moment? I'm trying to think. I've had a lot of great shows and a lot of good times, but I'm trying to think of that first moment.
Did it before?
I mean, I would say even just like the first time I really got to like, anytime I DJed in college, it was just, you know, dumb. Like it was like some friend's party or whatever, you know, nothing like having like a crowd of people that don't know who you are, like kind of having to choose songs for them and everything. So that was probably in 2015. I think I did like my first ever like actual like, oh, there's like a crowd of people that I don't know at South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. And of course I was so nervous and I was like so over prepared. You know, I had like thought about this like way too much. You know, now I just like go and do it. But like then it was like, oh my God, this is like, I got to think about it every day leading up to it. Like, you know, going through so much music, like trying to organize everything, make it perfect. And I think even just like the first time like I ever had a crowd like that, like I love it here. I love to perform. What's next? Well, I am wondering the same thing, to be honest, because this year has been kind of, you know, feeling like starting over almost. It felt like I went back to like 2018. That's why it kind of like 2019 we were here and then it kind of all started over again. So I've just been focused this year on kind of like rebuilding what lockdown and everything did to, you know, my career. But yeah, I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out the same thing, and I'll let you know when I figure it out. You know, like be true to yourself, right? I mean, you're doing something that's kind of completely outside of the norm, and that's awesome. You can have so many different experiences, learn so many different things about yourself that you may have never discovered. But I think it's hard when you're kind of like lost in that, especially when you're cut off from your family, your friends, you know, because they don't necessarily understand what you're doing, it's very easy to lose sight of like, what do I want and what do I need, and what are my boundaries, my limits, and I think that's really where any kind of bad experience comes from, is mostly from people getting talked out of what they know is what's right for them. So I would say, like, just stay true to yourself and continue to check in on what you want and what are your goals. Have a plan going in, because it's not going to last forever and it will affect you forever. So always have a plan and stay true to yourself. Also forgot to ask, do I look at the camera or at you?
Oh, me.
Okay, cool, making sure. I figured, I just wanted to make sure before, like, this girl's eyeline's mad fucked up. In porn, they always make you look at the camera even when you're doing an interview. You're like, so, I'm Carter Cruz, I'm 18 years old. Like,